You're listening to Worshipology with Kurtis Parks, a biblical, practical, and spiritual conversation about living and leading worship. Visit kurtisparks.com to learn more and check out Kurtis's books and latest resources for your worship team. Worshipology is a part of the Worship Leader Magazine podcast network. Worship Leader Magazine has a heart to equip spirit-led worship leaders with practical tools, theological insight, and encouragement for the local church. Today's episode is brought to you by Praise Charts. Whatever resources you're looking for on the latest songs in today's worship music, Praise Charts has you ready to go. Whether you need chord charts, lead sheets, or full orchestrations, everything is formatted for your team and available for instant download. Stay current, save time, and lead with confidence. Check out praisecharts.com today and get your hands on the freshest songs for Sunday. Now, lean into today's episode of Worshipology with Kurtis Parks.
Well, hey, thanks so much for listening to the Worshipology podcast. This is a biblical, practical, and spiritual conversation about living and leading worship. And today's guest, I'm pumped to just dive in and see what's going on in the world of Jordan Merritt. Say what's up, man.
What's up, man? I appreciate you having me. Pumped to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Jordan, part of the band table, we've had the whole band on the podcast, but I just kind of felt like maybe there's a little bit more gold to dig with Jordan, and here's some of his story. I met Jordan, I want to say it was 2016, 2017.
Yeah, something like that.
We were doing a project with People and Songs together, and this guy slays it on the drums, and then I found out he's a songwriter. He plays guitar. His voice is incredible. And I'm like, what can't Jordan Merritt do? So it's been awesome. But you just came out with this record, Seasons. We're going to put a link to that in our show notes. But man, let's just dive in, dude. Tell a little bit of our audience, like, man, what's your story? Like, how did you get started in singing and songwriting and leading worship, bro?
Yeah, dude, I was a drummer. I started playing drums when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
My mom and dad traveled and sang Southern gospel for years. So I kind of grew up in different churches, and I was just around music my whole life. And so I played drums since I was 2. I only wanted to play drums. That was the only thing I cared about. I really didn't care about singing, songwriting, none of that stuff. I was a huge basketball fan. Like, I wanted to go to the NBA. That was my goal.
All right.
Music wasn't the thing. And so I started playing my student band when I was I was 10. I wasn't even in middle school, and I started playing in the youth group.
Wow. Which just shows you that everyone needs good drummers, right?
That's right. That's right. It's a scarcity out there. But yeah, I started playing in the youth group when I was about 10, and then started playing in the big church when I was about 14 or 15.
Wow.
And then when I was about 14 or 15, we had a worship leader he was probably 23, 24, but he just kind of marked me. Something changed. Wow. My life was different because I kind of grew up under him. And so he left our church when I was about 15, and we didn't have another worship leader. And they said, who's going to do it? And I was like, well, I mean, I've been playing guitar for like a month. I'll try, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd obviously grown up around music. And so then I led one time, and somebody said, hey, you should do that again. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, let me see. And then honestly, from there, I just fell in love with we dissect so much about worship these days, but I just fell in love from a young age with seeing people light up in the presence of God.
Wow.
I didn't care about song choice. I came from a very Baptist background, and so there wasn't a lot of prophetic anything. There was nothing like fun about worship at that time. You know what I mean? There was nothing. There was no social media, none of that stuff. But what was so, I was an addict. I could not stop thinking about, I want to see this group of people, 150, 200 kids in our student ministry. I just want to see them fall in love with Jesus. And so it really radically, quickly, changed. I stopped playing basketball. Wow. And kind of dove all in. I'm going to go pursue this. And so, man, I mean, I'm 35 now. So 20 years of my life has been marked by chasing that. I just want to see God's people come alive in his presence. and more than that, I want to see their life changed. I don't want to see, we just sing songs and then we disconnect and we go about our day-to-day life. I always cared so much from the young age of, I want what we do on a Wednesday night service or a Sunday morning service to radically change the way that we live our life. And so, yeah, man, that's how I got started. And I accidentally started writing songs. How
do you accidentally start writing songs? Talk to me about that.
I sat down one time and was like, well, let me try this. And when I say accidentally, I just didn't have a goal of it. I didn't have I didn't have this, like, I want to be a professional songwriter. I want to be a so-and-so. None of that was in my view. I really genuinely just I want to write a song because I feel moved about this topic. I feel inspired about this thing. And so there's a place even now that I write songs from that I go back to being 16, 17, 18, 19. And there's just a purity of, there's nothing else that really matters.
Yeah.
There's no business. There's no trying to work an industry. There's none of that stuff. There's just this place that I know in my heart that I go back to and go, that is the honesty that I want to write songs from. And so, yeah, it was total accident. I wrote songs. I moved to Nashville when I was 19.
Okay.
The church that I was at, Travis Ryan, Travis.
Love him.
Travis is one of the best people I've ever met. One of my best friends.
We just had him on the podcast, man. He crushed it.
Oh, heck yeah. He's a well of a lot of knowledge and wisdom. But yeah, he became the worship pastor at our church.
Okay.
And I had kind of given up on a lot of things, and he had heard from a few people, hey, I need to reach out to Jordan. And basically he told me, you're a good songwriter. And I never knew that I was.
Wow.
After that, I met Jenny Riddle. And from then on, I basically was like, dude, I'm in rooms that I have no idea how I got here. Writing with people who I look up to. And honestly, there were some people I didn't know I should look up to until after. I just saw them as my friends' friends, These are people that I just enjoy writing with. And I realize how good they are and how respected they are. And so much of it for me has just been just trying to be obedient to the little things. And then God just kind of putting me in rooms that I didn't belong in. But just trying to maintain that soul focus,
Yeah. That's so cool, man. I mean, talk to me a little bit about, you just mentioned you didn't really know where your level of songwriting was at, but then Travis spoke a word into you. Talk a little bit about that, because oftentimes, like, we're going through life, we're faithfully putting one foot in front of the other, but it's usually a spark or a conversation from somebody that just speaks life into us or speaks a moment into us when maybe we're just down in the dumps, or we just don't know if this is making any difference. Talk about really what that moment did. And then I know you've had the opportunity to do that with so many other artists and writers along your journey. Talk about what that means from the other side of that, Jordan.
Yeah, no, it's so important for us to recognize in those moments that why we write songs, why we do what we do. Yeah. And, for Travis speaking into me, it really became it was just a freedom. It was just an unlocking to trust the process and trust the place that I write songs from. And it was such a small thing. All he said was, dude, this is a great song. And I was like, oh, I can do this. And so it sparked me in a way that nothing else had. And I grew up, with other people. There's that youth of like competition and jealousy and stuff like that. And so I was in my head from a young age of like, dude, I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to compete. Wow. And Travis just kind of coming along saying, you are good at this, gave me freedom to just keep chasing. And it wasn't a big thing. It was just a very small conversation. And that began a friendship where we just began to write more. Wow. And we had songs that got cut, things like that. And honestly, with Travis is one of those people that I wouldn't be where I am today as a human without him. Wow. And so I look to him in that way. And that, like you said, has kind of changed the way that I view people. It's so easy in our world to like I want to gatekeep. I don't want to share things. And
Yeah.
I just kind of decided a long time ago that like, none of this is mine.
Mm. Wow.
I did not work. I worked hard, but God gave me gifting. So it's my responsibility to really reach out. And if someone asks me for help, the least I can do is point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so it really shifted the way that I viewed my role as a man, as a follower of Jesus, as a leader. I don't want to be someone that gatekeeps. I don't want to be someone that is trying to hold my own place. There's plenty of room for all of us. And so it kind of marked me. I want to be somebody that I get to speak into, that I get to believe in, that I get to encourage. And it's that thing. People don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And if I can take a moment to inspire someone else, that's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today, is because multiple people believed in me. Dustin Smith is another one. Jenny is another one. Michael Farron is another one.
Wow.
Like there's multiple people that spoke into my life and said, you can do this.
Wow.
And so that doesn't take any time. It doesn't take any money. It doesn't take any energy to just say, I believe in you, go do it. And so I think we should be really generous with those things,
Man. Oh, that's so good, dude. And, it's interesting because it's just more fun when you collaborate. Like I was one of those songwriters back in the day. I moved to Nashville, 23 years old in 2005. And, when I moved there, I don't think I had co-written any songs. And I quickly learned that without community, without collaboration, it's a lonely journey and it's a longer journey. And the moment that you just are open-handed with what God gives you, not only does it help the kingdom, but it also grows you. And you just start to discover, like, man, this is more fun when I bring people into the process. And talk about that a little bit, because you've had, where we met was working with a camp, the Emerging Sound, and people in songs. And so there's like, I don't know how many kids were in the room that night, but that was one of the most special moments that I've ever had in worship. But not just with people in songs, but the band table. Talk about what's that balance like with, you're working with the band table. You guys are putting out music, but then you just came out with your own record, Seasons. What's the balance of that? And how do you know if a song's for your project or if a song is for something that you're collaborating with, Jordan?
Yeah, for me, it's just a gut feeling. I don't really have and that's me. Obviously, like everybody else around in the industry side of it, and they just have different thoughts, and they're not necessarily wrong thoughts. Lots of times I've been wrong. But there's usually a gut feeling for me that goes, no, I have to carry this song. I have to do that. And
that's good.
A good example is I wrote Seasons, the title track on my record. I wrote it with Travis and my friend Sabin Flory, who's an incredible songwriter.
Yeah.
And that song could have gone multiple different directions, but I just knew, like, this is a very, very real story of mine, a very real expression. It's a very important song to me, and I just got to carry it. I could put it other avenues. I could put it through different voices. And so for me, I kind of set it up as like, I view the band table as something that it is just a community, like, and I'll be honest, I love the music that we do, but I love the people so much.
That's good.
There's an excitement that happens when we get to play together.
Yeah.
That's because we genuinely love doing it with each other. And so, even for me with my solo stuff, I've got my band guys that, I love them. There's a friendship there. There's a level of trust there. There's a level of history there that I know their family. Their family knows my family. I know their parents. Their parents know me. We love each other's kids. You know what I mean? And so
that's cool.
At the end of the day, that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's it.
And it's the truth, man. Like it's just way more worth it to do things together than to do it alone. It is more fulfilling. It is more exciting. It is more life-giving, and it lasts longer when we do it together. And so, even my solo stuff, a lot of it is the writing is me. I enjoy writing with other people, obviously. but that's kind of my
Your
sandbox
lane.
is my
Yeah.
solo stuff. That's my lane. But even once it gets past that, I produce it with my best friends. I play it with my best friends, and it becomes our song, our stuff, our songs, our story. And so, yeah, man, at the heart of everything that I do, I've always kind of been that. I've always wanted to be somebody that is just a gatherer of people.
Wow.
Even when me and my wife first got married, our house was the game night house,
Nice. Yeah.
that was our house. And
yeah.
I've just kind of been that way my whole life. I just want to make space for people to be and for people to exist and to find life, and it doesn't have to be through a church service. That is a major thing, but so much of our life is spent outside of those walls.
Yeah.
That it's important to me that my songs come from those kind of stories, that they come from those kind of relationships. And we really only find that in community, and it makes you a better writer. You have way more perspective than writing from your own problems, so it's important.
I think there's something interesting about, I was just having a conversation earlier this morning just about the power of unity, right? It's like, John 17, Jesus prayed for our unity. The Holy Spirit is a spirit of unity. Psalm 133, how good and pleasant when you dwell in unity. And you take that word community that everybody in the world knows that word community, but unity it's like, what do we have in common that unifies us? And for the people of God, there's something just so special about unity. There's something so special about community. And I mean, I would just agree with you, like with music, it's a unifier. Like you can bring people together, and when you put a song in people's mouth, it's like there's so many studies done by just the power of singing together, the power of singing in unison, and what it does for the spirit, for the soul. How have you seen that? And has there been a particular song that you've written or been a part of where it's like, man, I've seen that firsthand, where like when we come together and we sing the praises of God, it just does something in the room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, is there a song? There's a million songs, you know?
Yeah.
I tend to find that those songs were written about 25, 30 years ago,
more
than they were written 5 years ago. Because there's an older demographic in our church services that, I'll be honest, this is where I could soapbox on this all day long.
Yeah.
The 55 to 80, if you want to tap into faith in your church, that's your demographic. If you want to tap into fervor and zeal, it's Gen Z, right? It's young millennials, and they both go hand in hand, and the enemy's done a great job of separating those. But for me as a worship leader, I'm like, dude, it's all about unity in the room, and song choice is an important thing. The presentation is an important thing. When I walk into a room as a worship leader, I am looking to the old people first. If I can get the older generations to sing and to lift their hands and to engage, the young people are so hungry that when they get something tangible, it doesn't matter who sings it. It doesn't matter if it's new or old, if it's true, and if God breathes on it, and if the older generation has faith and they're excited about it. There's something about that you walk away and you go, man, that was life-changing. That marked me. And so, at the end of the day, the common unity is Jesus. The thing that we're centered on is very simple, but how we present all of that is very complex. And so I think it's so important for me, just to make sure that when I walk into a room that everybody can eat. It's a table, right?
That's so good.
And everybody gets to eat. Everybody gets to have something that they get to engage. And if we're leaving people out, it's kind of like, worship leading 101. Your job is genuinely not to hype anybody up. That's not your job. Your job is not to get everybody excited. Your job is to help people see Jesus. People will sing when they see.
Come on.
So we don't need all of these songs. We don't need all of these. And honestly, we had a church plant that was a house of prayer, and we would pick a key and we would sing for 2 hours. And sometimes we would sing a chorus for 30 minutes. But the goal wasn't to sing. People would come in and be like, why do you do worship that way? And it's like, well, I don't care how we do worship. I care that we worship.
Wow.
I don't care what songs we do. I don't care if it looks cool. I don't care about that. My job is to help you see Jesus. And as we behold him with unveiled face, he takes us from one degree of glory to the next. And so worship leaders out there, if you're listening, your primary job is to set a table so that every single person in the room gets to eat. If you're excluding any demographic, if you're excluding any age group or any denomination, then you've already missed. You've already not failed, but maybe come up short. And God just meets us in those moments in beautiful ways and fixes our flaws. But in my preparation, I'm not preparing chords. I try to surround myself with great people and great musicians that can go where we need to go.
That's it.
That know their craft. But at the end of the day, my preparation is, can everybody eat? Does everybody have something to feast on that gets them to the main course? And the main course is always Jesus, you know?
Wow, dude, I'm already just thinking about, leading worship this weekend and bringing in like a hymn at the end of maybe a newer song or something like that. Like, talk about some practical ways on how you can do that. How, you mentioned this resurgence of like some songs 20, 30 years ago that were written, and you're seeing it everywhere. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. I think there's a hunger for the depth. I think there's a hunger for that multi-generational convergence in worship, and you're seeing more intentionality in that. How do you do that intentionally? What are some practical ways that some of our worship leaders, worship teams listening can be like, okay, I think we can do that. Yeah.
So much of that to me is those songs are protein.
Wow.
If you're looking at a meal, those songs, How Great Is Our God, is protein.
Wow.
Even like, and talk about newer songs, Holy Forever, it's protein.
Yeah.
It's so Jesus focused. It's so Jesus centered. There's not a lot of fluff around it. And I'm not saying that there are some songs that I love so much.
Yeah.
But they are a side dish to get me to the protein that is feasting on Jesus.
Wow.
And so I think that, just to speak on the 90s and 80s and those songs, we loved protein back then. We loved Here I Am to Worship, Here I Am to Bow Down. We loved that. There's not a lot of fluff in that. It is very raw. It is very honest. And the posture of that song is so correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think as in practicality now, I think you have to be very, very good. There are so many worship songs these days.
Yeah.
And some of them are good.
Yeah.
And some of them are not.
Yeah.
And just because it's new and it's hype and it has energy does not make it a great song.
Wow.
A great song speaks and spans across generations.
Wow.
And so practically, most of the older generations, my mom and my dad, they just don't care about the music. They just don't care. And honestly, I'm a producer. I love good music.
Yeah.
When it comes to worship, that side of my brain shuts off. I just give me Jesus. I don't want to step into church and sing about my problems. I'm tired of singing over my anxiety.
Wow.
I'm tired of singing. I don't want that to even come in the picture. I want to step into a space with my brothers and sisters in Christ and see Jesus. And so song choice, first and foremost, matters so much.
Yeah.
Are you putting Jesus on display? Or are you putting our problems on display and asking Jesus to fix our problems? Because in that moment on a Sunday where you're 75 years old, you've learned that I don't need to sing over my problems. I need to sing to Jesus.
Wow.
I don't need to talk about my anxiety. I need to sing to Jesus. I need to talk to Jesus. I need to hear from Jesus. And so there's become this disconnect that I've seen over the past 15, 20 years, to where songs are so much more about us and Jesus. And it's like, I don't think that that's bad. In my mind, that's not protein.
Wow.
Protein is where I am lost. I am gone. I am in the presence of God. And my response is Isaiah 6. My response is Revelation 4 and 5.
Come on.
My response is when the priest would try to minister, but they could not.
Yeah.
That's the response. And so practically, song choice, presentation does not matter if you don't have correct songs. If you don't have songs that make space for everybody, presentation doesn't matter. And so presentation is secondary to making sure that it's the same as if you go to a restaurant and the plate looks good, but it tastes bad.
Okay.
You're not going to go back to that place.
Wow.
And so presentation is secondary to the primary, which is, are we putting Jesus on display? Because at the end of the day, I'll be honest, I've sang in churches that have thousands of seats, and I've sang in a conference room with 15 people. Wow. Where we just get on our face for 2 hours. I've sang in a mission house in Belize. And I can see when you move in those situations, you begin to see the common thread is the presence of God.
Wow.
And when he breathes, that's the only thing that matters.
Dude.
Lights don't matter. Tracks don't matter. Click doesn't matter. Band doesn't matter. Give me an acoustic guitar and I'm chasing that common thread that I've seen throughout my life. And that's the presence of God sitting down among his people where he is pleased, where he is glorified, where he is honored. And genuinely, that is the thing that changes lives. Wow. Your guitar part may or may not change lives. The presence of God.
Depends on how much delay and reverb is on that thing.
It depends on if you have the
or
right
chorus
helix. Yeah, you got to have the right preset. That's it. But at the end of the day, like that, you're spending so much time on that, but you need to spend time begging God to show up among you. And for me, dude, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but
no, it's so good.
I spent so much of my life, and I don't know that I've ever even said this, but I've processed it recently. And I've spent so much of my worship leading career life wanting to be a strong worship leader, wanting to be able to communicate well, wanting to be able to recognize the next moment before it happens and pick the right song and flow and do all these things. And I used to walk off stage and be like, I did a great job leading worship. Wow. And the older I get, the more I am so turned off from my own heart in that. And where I kind of took a couple of years off of leading worship. I was doing more shows and stuff like that. And I went to lead worship one time and I remembered, I genuinely was nervous because I was like, I haven't done this in a while. But it's in my DNA, right? Like I've grown up doing it. And before I went up on stage, I asked God, I just said, Lord, I don't know what to do. I just need you to move. I feel like I've prepared the best that I can, but I felt it. I didn't say it and say it as kind of like a formality. I believed it. I genuinely in my heart was like, if you don't show up, none of this matters. And so, God, I just need you to show up. And in that moment, I felt like he just reminded me, this is where you started. And now you're back here. Wow. And never leave this place. Never leave this place where you are fully dependent, not on your chords. I had the best band I could assemble. Yeah. We had LED wall. We had lights. We had a pumping PA. I had like 5 or 6 songs. I was like, this is about to be a bomb set list. Right. But it was in that moment that I realized we could have everything perfect. And if you don't show up, none of it matters at all. Wow. And so it was the Lord just challenged me, stay right there. Don't leave this place. Don't leave this part in your heart where you remember that the only thing that matters is that I am on the table for people to feast on. And so, so practically, I think that it takes effort, right? Like it's really simple. Yeah. We just keep that focus. We just keep that posture, but it's our job to pick songs, to pick arrangements, to pick people around us, to make sure that they see that, to make sure if you're a worship leader at a church, to make sure that you're in line with your pastor and y'all see the same thing. Yeah. There's just so much, but it becomes the common unity. That is the thing that we are centered around. That is the thing that we are circled around. And the gathering doesn't exist for anything other than
Yeah.
for God to meet with his people. And so, yeah, man, that's a soapbox I could go for days on.
No, it's so good. I mean, what you just said about, if you go to a restaurant and the presentation is so good, but the taste is not there, you don't go back, and I think that's going to stick with me because, it's interesting. I think for so long it was excellence, excellence, excellence. It was, and there's value, and you need to prepare. I mean, I would never show up without my guitar. I would never show up without a song set. I would never show, you show up unprepared. It's that balance of like, what did St. Augustine say? Pray as if everything depended on God, work as if everything depended on me.
That's right.
You got to bring your best to the table. So don't slack in that. But I think we kind of hit this almost pendulum swing of like, if we just present so much excellence, people will be so wowed by what we bring that they'll come back. And they may come back a week or two, maybe even a month or two, but you could have hype and no Holy Spirit, and it's going to quickly suss out. Like you're going to quickly realize where's the protein, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Like right now, there's such a hunger that we're seeing in our nation. And we were talking about this before we hit record, just the hunger, especially in Gen Z. And Gen Z, if anything else, they can sniff out a fake. It's like,
oh gosh,
it's the idea of like, if it's not authentic, I don't want it. And so I think it's just a sobering reminder that if we're not in this thing fully dependent on God, I love where you're coming from, Jordan. I mean, anything else that you have on that, just on how to stay fully dependent? Well,
there's the thing that you said too, just to hit on this, is the younger generations right now, we're seeing a rise in the Catholic Church.
Wow.
And part of the reasons that they say is for the sacraments. The sacraments are real and they are tangible.
Wow.
And these younger generations, I believe also the older generations are craving something real and tangible. And so for me, excellence so many times, I grew up watching wrestling. This is so dumb, but I grew up loving wrestling.
Go.
It is so fake. It's a performance. Like it is scripted. Going through tables is not fake, but the whole thing. But as I got older, I wanted to I was always intrigued of I want to see the parts where they messed up.
Wow.
I want to see the parts where we got to break through that wall of performance to see what's really behind the surface. And now as an older worship leader, I walk in, I go to church with that perspective. Yeah. I want to see the mess up. Let me see the problem. Let me see where the performance fails. I want to see that. Yeah. Because I want to see what's right behind that. And I believe that our like you said, people sniff that out so fast, especially younger generations. Yeah. It's just so important that we give them what their heart is longing for. And it's the same as protein. Like I said, it's like your body, you can eat, broccoli, but your body still craves protein. It's just the way God made us. And we can sing songs about Jesus. We can sing songs about what he does. We can sing songs about who we are in him and about our authority and our strength, which I don't disagree with any of those things. But those are all side dishes compared to the thing. And I think that the older and the younger generations will gather around that idea that we are just centered on the reality of who Jesus is, the tangible presence that obviously we may see miracles, but we may not. We just know that he marked us. Something happened. Yeah. And I think that is what radically changes lives. And so if you're in a church with an epic sound system, PA, LED wall, light rig, whatever, and you're in a church with just you and an acoustic guitar, there is no separation there. Yeah. You have the same access because of the blood of Jesus to his presence. You have this. So your responsibility is to not go get more lights. Your responsibility is not to do that. Your responsibility is to find the people with faith in the room and activate them and get them to see Jesus, and he dwells among us. And that is what radically changes our lives.
Come on, man. I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose right now, bro. That's an inspiration right there. And I think it just kind of levels the playing field. It doesn't matter if your budget is $1 million a year or if your budget is 100 a year. What matters is you're pointing people to Jesus. I wrote this down. Help people to sing Jesus, and you'll help them see Jesus. That's so good, man. Jordan, let me ask you one more question today, bro. Just what's the Holy Spirit been speaking to you lately in your prayer time? Maybe there's a scripture that God keeps bringing you back to in your word. What's just kind of been on repeat in your heart lately, bro?
Yeah, man. I feel like for the past year, I've been asking the Lord for wisdom.
Come on.
It kind of started with, Lord, I need wisdom because I'm just not naturally, I'm not a wise person, but then it kind of just, it kind of sent me on a chase of what is wisdom and how it's truth, but it's also compassion, it's mercy, but it's also justice. And there's so many of those things. And so I think for me, I want to be someone who is walking in wisdom. I want to be a wise person, and wise doesn't always mean I have the answers. Wise means that I know who does.
Wow.
Wise means that I know how to navigate like he would navigate. And so I think that, that's one thing, but also, I don't think I could answer that question without saying that the Lord radically shifted my view to my primary ministry in the past few years, and that is my family.
Yeah.
And so I feel so much responsibility in this season to I've led worship with a lot of people in the room. And I just am so much more concerned that my kids grow up and say, that's the same man. That's the same man that I see on the stage. That's the same man that tucks me in at night. That's the same man that walks me through problems. And so, I've led worship at how many churches, mega churches, small churches, and none of it is fulfilling if we don't do it from the right place. And so, that would be my urge, that I feel like the Lord is calling me to, but also calling all worship leaders, young and old. If you're a young worship leader and you don't have a family, prepare to, when you get married, that becomes your priority. If you have a young family and you're a young worship leader, I remember being 26, just wanting to prove myself, 27, 28, like I can do this. I'm good enough. I'm so-and-so. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really mattered was, am I being a good dad? And am I shepherding my family well? And so I think those two things are, I will look back in my life and look at these last 2 years and see the Lord marked me with those two priorities, is to become someone who walks and lives and roots myself in wisdom, which the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, not the fear of man. And so how do I just do that step one right? But then secondarily, like how do I love my family in a way that my kids grow up and go, he's the real deal. And if I get there, I'm good. I hope songs do well. I hope that I can do good ministry outside of that. But if I do good ministry outside of that and miss that, I don't know that I can live with that. And so those two things, man, I have a lot of other thoughts, obviously, about, what I feel like the Lord's doing in the church and stuff like that. But I got to start with what he's doing in me first, so.
Wow. Well, I can just tell you are a great dad, man. And I know you love your kids and they know you love them. And I think you're right. I mean, I'm kind of in that same season of life. My daughter's 13, my son's 11. And, what did I heard a great pastor once say, don't sacrifice your family on the altar of ministry. Those are my primary calling. And, man, I see it in your face and I see it in your heart, bro. And I just appreciate you pouring into us, man. I think, what you've shared today is, I'm going to be chewing on that for a little while, man. I'm going to be chewing on that protein. Yeah, and it's so good. Hey, we're going to put just ways that you can connect with Jordan in our show notes. And of course, link to his new album, Seasons. Dude, thank you for just pouring into us, for just pouring into the body of Christ, bro. Appreciate you.
Amen, bro. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all you do.
You've been listening to Worshipology with Kurtis Parks. Visit kurtisparks.com to learn more and check out Kurtis's books and resources for worship leaders and teams. Worshipology is part of the Worship Leader Magazine podcast network, brought to you by Worship Leader Magazine. Today's episode was sponsored by Praise Charts. Visit praisecharts.com and get everything you need for your worship team today.